I was on a solid foundation. I started getting industry support, started getting sponsors, and I had all these people coming, right? And I'm like, okay, but I know it's risky. I know that cycling is risky. There's people over cars, and it's dangerous. I'm like, in case I lose my life in this journey, in case I get hit by a car on the side of the road on the way to New York, if that happens, I want to say goodbye to my family. So we went to Panama City. We met my parents there. And I am explaining my grand idea of how I'm going to change the world to my own father, a brilliant man, a civil engineer, respected. If he didn't sign off on something, they didn't build it. That's how respected my father was. He's an engineer.
Oh, okay.
He is a guy who, if it's real, if it makes sense, if you can take it apart and put it back together, it's logical, he can see it. If it's a vision, if you're out of this world, if you want to set the world on fire, you want to create something that does not exist, I was an alien to this nation. So here I am pouring my heart out, waiting for that validation. Like my own flesh and blood, my dad's going to be so proud of me that his son's going to change the world and inspire people to get healthy, eating their favorite food. And in the middle of my heartfelt speech to him, looking for that reassurance and validation, he interrupts me to tell me that his favorite show is coming on TV, and he wants me to pause to stop talking about the bike ride and how I'm going to change the world, because he wanted to watch the American Pickers show. Anybody watching this show? Anybody like to watch American Pickers? Okay? So I'm like, are you serious? Like two guys that walk around and digging trash in barns looking for rusted bicycles from like 1906 is more valuable than like what I'm telling you right now. And so for him, he was like, well, they're already on TV. They've already made it. They're successful. And I hadn't done it yet. I hadn't proven it. I hadn't done it. My vision was so big the way I saw it. So if you are a dreamer, you are trying to take your dream to the next level, trying to get gold to the next level, it's your job. It's your job to visualize it for the world to see it. Otherwise, it stays inside. Nobody sees it. Right? So, did the bike ride in New York, and that was amazing. So here I am, next step up, get to New York City, and then I'm on top of the world. I'm in Times Square, and I shut down Times Square. I have the world's largest pizza party. I'm on 49th and Broadway. We shut down traffic. I'm hanging out with the naked cowboy. I'm part of the New York City life. I mean, I'm killing it. Here I am. I rode 30 days on a bicycle up the East Coast to inspire people to change their lifestyle, incorporate food, pizza into it, uplift an industry with a mantra of a high tide raises all ships. Right? And then it was over. I came back home, and my 15 minutes of fame was up. And I think if anybody listens to Jay-Z, DJ Tony probably has a track you can pull up. But Jay-Z talks about how fame is the worst drug known to man. You know, that it's stronger than heroin. And that you can get lost in it, where you can look in the mirror and not even see like who and what you've become. You get lost in the star and the bright lights of this image that you are in the world, right? And I got lost in it. I got lost in the fame part. And I failed to monetize it. So that ship had sailed. I didn't write a book. You know, I did write a book. But the problem with it was at the time, I wasn't far enough along in this process of development to where I was just trying to criticize other people's concepts and philosophies to show the superiority of my own, that the pizza diet was the most credible, science-backed pizza concept out there, nutrition-wise. And I was tearing people down to build myself up. So by the time it came to publish the book, I was embarrassed by the book. Because I truly believe that a high tide raises all ships, and you don't have to extinguish someone else's light for yours to shine brighter. So I missed that boat, come back, and in the media, if you're not current, you're ancient. So you got to keep reinventing yourself. Now, I've done some things that I thought I worked out the magic formula. Oh man, I created this guy. And welcome to the program, J.R. Rich. Well, come on, go. Come on. So I invented this cartoon character because I got to the point where I was like, I got daughters. Yeah, come on. Everybody welcome. So I got kids, I got my daughters, and I'm in the media where my only real credibility for the media was that my results were real, that I didn't have surgery, I didn't do anything to alter my results, I didn't have any scars, I didn't have lap band, and all my results were legit. That pizza was a healthy food, okay? So here I am, and I'm like, but I got daughters, and they're young. And you know what? And I've been around enough celebrities, and I've been in the back rooms of a lot of green rooms to meet famous people, and I didn't want to get typecasted as a one-trick pony. And I didn't want to be the guy that always had to take his shirt off and do things in the media publicly without my shirt on to show that the pizza diet's real and that my results are real. Because I didn't want to embarrass my daughter. So what I did was I created a cartoon to deliver my dirty work. And his name was Peppy the Pig. All right? And now Peppy was cool, man. Peppy was cool. Peppy was like six-pack. He was shredded. He was the opposite of what you thought a pig was. He had Oakleys. He was a triathlete. He was killing it. He was built to deliver a message that childhood obesity, that kids can eat their favorite food for a lifetime, education, how to motivate them to stay healthy, to love pizza and to eat it responsibly, right? And to change their lifestyle so that they could overcome bullying in school, build self-confidence from within. And when somebody called them a pig, it was a compliment. Like, oh yeah, because I'm Peppy. Like, it's Peppy as in Peppy, excited, happy, right? But it's also Pepperoni the Pig. And he was shredded. He was awesome. Now, you might be in a place where your dreams, your goal, your job, your life, where you think you've already got it mastered. That's the golden ticket. This is going to be it, and I'm not changing it no matter what the feedback is, no matter what people's feedback are. Doesn't matter. I'm going to be successful. I'm not changing. I got tunnel vision, and I'm not open to change. I'm not open to revamping it or reworking it. So I took this concept that I refused to take positive feedback from, and I got a lot of good stuff along the years. But I went all the way to the Cartoon Network, and guess what the Cartoon Network did for me?
Nothing.
They slaughtered Peppy.
Oh.
And they took him out to pasture, and they slaughtered Peppy. And they started with, are you really telling the kids of the next generation that if they don't eat pizza and they don't have a six-pack, that they're not healthy? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I see that. They're like, do you really want to be the most hated animated character of all time and replace Barbie as far as like mental health and like self-conscious issues about weight and body composition? And I was like, nah, yeah, you're right. And then like, so for the kids that are over the age of 6, that understand that Peppy, if he does eat pepperoni or sausage or ham or any other pork toppings, that he's cannibalistic. And then for the religious people, that they don't value swine, that the Muslims, and, so it was awful. And they're like, we'll never back this idea, so that's it. Now,
I will.
if I stopped there, then that would have died. But I went back to the drawing board, created Max Food Truck. And it's 5 characters that travel around on a food truck discovering fruits and vegetables in each state. And they have to work in teams, and there's no pizza toppings as a character. It's Roni the rhinoceros, and then Slice the snake, and Basil the bear. And so collectively, they help kids develop skills. Geography is landmarks, and it's animation to improvement and education of how to eat pizza responsibly. Okay? So that was the escalation up. And then in the media, I would say, if you don't current, you're going to be ancient history. So I took it to the bodybuilding world. Went back to the Gold's Gym, went back to where all my friends were at over the years, and I'm up here, and I'm like, man, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition with a body built by pizza. Nah, you can't do that. We're bulking up. Man, you can't do that with a fast food. You can't do that with a junk food. So that's what inspired me to create the 30-day pizza diet to turn it into a 16-week pizza diet. Now, on this stage here, when I got to this level, I was told that I couldn't do it. Now this is your motivation stage, right? What do you work in your goal or your dream for? Is it for you? Is it for your pride? Is it for your ego? Is it for your legacy? Is it to show people that you can do it because they said you couldn't do it? Right? So in the gym world, I was telling people with my own mouth that I was going to be a bodybuilding champion, eating a perceived junk food, right? And I told them that I wanted to win, that I was convicted that I was going to win this competition. Now, the reality of it was that if I really wanted to win, that would be like the same philosophy of telling Usain Bolt in a 100-meter gold medal race that I want to be a champion and win a gold medal for the U.S. And I'm going to give Usain Bolt a head start. So the logic just didn't make sense. And I got laughed out of the gym. And I was told that I could never do it. I was told that it would never work. And so the chip on my shoulder was to show everybody that they were wrong, right? But my motivations changed. The more trophies I won and eventually becoming a professional bodybuilder, earning my pro card, becoming a champion, not only did I win, but I beat kids half my age. And it was really through this process here that changed my philosophy on life and the future of reestablishing new goals for the future. It was that process because at the time, kids who were restrictive of their eating, who sacrificed everything for this trophy, the same trophy that we're all competing for publicly. Right? Now, if anybody's done a bodybuilding show, anybody in the crowd, anybody ever done a competition? It's a very traumatic experience for those of you who've never done it. You're only judged on your flaws. Like, nobody goes up there and be like, oh, John, you have amazing biceps. That's awesome. No, you're judged on your weaknesses. In an alpha male-driven environment, right? And you're in competition, you're half naked or almost always naked, and you're the only one on stage, and you're alone, and you're isolated. And most people don't have the courage internally to even go through that process. It's traumatic, it's terrifying. But when you go through something that you don't love, or you go something that's traumatic, it can forge you so much stronger internally. And that bond that you make with other competitors behind the curtain, the regular public will never understand that bond. They'll never understand that sacrifice, that judgment, that experience, that internal questioning of your worthiness, of your dedication, because they see it. You can't hide on stage if you get results or you don't. It's obvious. And here I was eating a perceived junk food to go in and say that I really wanted to win this trophy. For 4 months, I ate nothing but pizza. Every meal, every day. So, when the kid came behind the curtain, he said, Matt, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I heard you ate pizza. I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, which meal? I'm like, every meal. It was a pizza-only diet for 4 months. He's like, he's like, dude, I gave up my Thanksgiving for my family because I wanted to win the trophy. Man, I was willing to, I ate chicken and rice, and I didn't have sodium for weeks. And he sacrificed everything for this trophy that I have in my hand, that I won, right? And so that made me look at life as like, wait, there's a more optimal way of living, right? It's about applying sciences. And that's really when I had to learn what the pizza diet was. And it was a lifestyle. And it was balance. And so for those of you that are here for New Year's resolutions today, that are trying to figure out how to stay accountable and stay on course, and I didn't go through and read all your sources. I didn't read your personal and your professional goals and your dreams. But if it's weight goals, I want to give you a couple things that help me along the journey. Okay? First off, there is no such thing as a good or bad food. Right? It's all just fat, carb, protein, micronutrients. It's all about balance. It's about enjoyment. Right? It's about enjoying the process because time equals results and equals consistency. Right? We're here on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, right? Where New Year's resolutions are started, right? Where most of them will die in the next couple of weeks, right? And I want to explain and elaborate on why I think that happens, in my perspective, why that happens. So one, people start out the year, they go through the cabinet, and they clean up all the foods that they love in exchange for a goal or result. Now that result could be from a doctor's scare, from a bad test result. It could be from a upcoming beach vacation or upcoming wedding or birth of a child or grandchild. There's a lot of different motivations. Now, those of you in the fitness industry know that trainers get their money up front. They collect all the money up front because they know that people have a hard time staying with the process, right? Now, here's why, and this is what I do. Anybody who's ever competed in bodybuilding knows that the hardest thing to do in bodybuilding is not diet, it's not working out, it's not going to the gym, it's not being disciplined, it's not any of those things. The hardest part about being a bodybuilder is controlling stress, controlling cortisol, being able to control your stress hormone, because you can look amazing going into a competition and all of a sudden your abs disappear and you just kind of fizzle away and you're like, I'm not getting on that stage. Your confidence goes away and it's all over, right? So what happens is through this process, I've gotten to learn about the brain and PTSD and training in the sympathetic nervous system with my mobile gym. And what I've learned through the process is that emotional trauma, PTSD, is just that. It's emotional trauma stored in the brain, and when it's reintroduced, whether it's a sound or a flashback or a smell, it comes back and it triggers fear, which triggers cortisol, which triggers adrenaline, and you're not going to get results in that mindset. Okay? So go to the traditional gym mat. First day of the year, you sign up. All right, I got a trainer. I'm going to train 3 days a week for the next 6 weeks. It's going to cost me $150,000, right? Because the price is high, so that you have a value to stay committed to your goal. Right? And now you're in that process. You go and you get beaten into the ground by a drill sergeant trainer. A trainer that runs you through every kind of burpee and experience, and you're doing it, and then you can't sit down for a week. And your arms don't fully stretch out for a week. Right? We've all been through a drill sergeant training, right? I mean, probably at the gym, JR, like, this. So, that pushing until failure and never stopping and never giving up, and every burpee counts, and like all those things, right? But what we've learned through science is that as you build up anxiety and fear going back to your next appointment, how many trainers in the world have been blown off by a client who just can't stomach the fact that I got to go into that punishment again in order to get this result that I want, right? And they blow them off, and they show up later, they got an excuse, a lot of excuses. I can't make it, my tire fell apart, or my kid ran away, or, like, it's all, right? But the problem is that when you're going into that stressful environment, you walk in the door, you smell the cleaner of the floor, you hear the techno of the music, you see the face, or hear the voice of the trainer, and it triggers fear and cortisol, and now your workout, you're not getting results. And eventually, you kind of stop going through that process. The enjoyment starts to dwindle, and the motivation starts to fade. And then what happens? Because we're all creatures of habit, right? So we're all, like, we got patterns. Like, the 30-day pizza diet was invented because I know, scientifically, it only takes 21 to 28 days to create a new habit, whether it's good or bad. So I did 30 days to show people that it's consistency and moderation, and that's the reason I set a 30-day limit instead of like a 21-day, okay? But the Super Bowl comes the second week of February. Now, for the first 6 weeks of the year, you've been somewhat disciplined. You go to the gym, the gyms are packed, right? I mean, how do you know the gyms are packed? So the gyms are packed the first 6 weeks, but then the first Super Bowl hits, the first major event since the holidays, your friends and family have been together in a social environment. The first time that all your food that you restrict yourself of are there, you overdo it, you binge eat, and you wake up Monday morning with a sense of guilt like you failed. You weren't disciplined, you weren't strong enough, you weren't committed enough to the process. And you give up on your dream. You literally throw in the white towel, and you're like, I quit. And you go back to the lifestyle you had the year 4, and year 4, and year 4. So it's about moderation. It's about timing. We're all about nutrient timing, right? When you eat, it's important what you eat. And enjoyment. Okay, so those things have been successful. Now, with all that being said, I started doing the motivational speaking, and I started to put myself out there, like Don's giving me a lot of encouragement to do, right? And I started to do it, and I opened for his show, and I went through the process. And then I started doing research on looking up the ramp-up period and looking around to see what other motivational people are doing out there. And I never saw anyone illustrate internal weight, meaning fears, anxieties, stresses, right? Now Gary back there, he's got a live or a video feed. Gary is my arms dealer. Okay, so this is where I got my Gladiator outfit from. Gary helped me years ago when I developed the Pizza Gladiator as a way to defend the integrity of pizza. It was a part of the region of the world where pizza originated. Pizza was leftover scraps from the bakeries that was used to feed the armies. It was trash, it was cheap, and a way to feed the masses. So what is now the modern day flatbread was what pizza started with. So I went with a gladiator image to defend the integrity of pizza, to uplift our industry from junk food to health food, and I wanted to have some kind of visual presentation from Gary, because I found him on Craigslist, and so he's here with his booth, which I appreciate the local business coming together and supporting. But this is very symbolic of life. The outside shell, especially for us men, right? We have to be tough, we got to be strong, be alpha males, we can't show weakness. Can't cry. Not allowed to cry. Gotta be a man, right? But the reality is we're raised by women, carried out of womb, we're nurtured by women. Right? And all of a sudden society says at some age, magic age, you can't have emotions. You can't show emotions. Well, we know with mental health, we see it every day play out tragically, of men unable to seek help because of stigma and stereotypes. And so we go out in the real world, we put on our tough armor. Very like a monster, man. Tough guy, got all this stuff going on, right? In the business world, we do that same thing with our suit. No tie. So every day we go out to battle, put on our image, our outer shell of protection. And if I was a doctor, I'd have a lab coat. If I was a chef, I would have a chef coat. And so we put on all these external layers to show and hide our real emotions, our real life. And so underneath it all are fears, different stresses. You can probably name them, right? Financial freedom, or financial burdens, stress, anxiety, addiction, right? Like fear of failure. Now, if I'm in a ramp-up period, if I've got a dream and I'm like really trying to make it happen, I can get up here because you guys saw me do all this with my weighted vest on. You didn't know I had all this stuff. But as you guys are in the real world, you guys are all carrying internal weight. And there might not be weight that you could actually load on a plate or on a bar and actually feel. But man, have you ever seen somebody when you could just see the gravity of what they're going through is heavy? And you can just look at their face or their posture and you can just see that weight that's holding down there. Whew, it's serious, right? So now, as people, we care. We care about our friends, we care about our family, we care about our neighbors, we care about our children. If we have adult children that are unable to support themselves in the real world, maybe from addiction or behavior issues, or maybe some illness or health issues where they're just unable to protect themselves, now you're carrying their burdens. Now in life, if you voluntarily pick up everybody else's issues around you, and you want to carry all the external issues, your neighbor, your friend, your family, your coworkers, maybe if you're a business owner, your employees, their problems. If you're a person that has a huge heart, and you're carrying all this weight, and all your internal weight, I never saw any motivational speaker, I never saw anybody out there that illustrate that it's okay to put the weight down. It's okay to emotionally separate yourself. Like, hey man, JR, I love you, man, but I can't carry that no more, man. Tony, you're my dog, man. I love you, but I can't. Because you know what? I can't keep going up if this is all going to carry me back down. And what happens when you get up here? When you get up here to financial freedom, when you get up here to passive income, passive time, you can go back and offer resources to help everybody that you love. You can offer jobs, you can give them hope, you can give them resources, you can pay their mortgage, you can get them treatment, get them success. So when I start talking about addiction, I want to kind of give you an illustration of the way I look at addiction, okay? So I'll give you a backstory. Backstory is I was born in 1976 with a rare disease called hyaline membrane disease, which meant that the surfactant lining of my lungs was missing. Dr. Gene, a doctor of Western medicine for many years, can tell us that that's because I was a premature baby, that I was born instantly into an incubator, and so for the first 3 months I did not get formula, breast milk, all the regular nutrition that everybody else gets for granted, right? In addition to that, when I got out of that incubator, because I was fed saline solution and IVs to stay alive, and a respirator with the scars on my chest, I didn't know how to suck or swallow. So my mother had to teach me how to be a human. Right? So my first quarantine, I've done two of them, not COVID, but my first year of my life, my mom and I sat on the second floor of a house, isolated, so a common cold would kill me, because I had no immune system. Right? So I knew growing up that, hey, if you smoke, you're going to die. You're going to die quick. Your lung tissue's not the same, it's not as strong there, but if you smoke, you will die. So I knew this. But society and pressures of society, I started working at KFC and all the people take smoke breaks, and here I was, the only one staying in the kitchen doing all the work, and they're all out socializing, having fun. I'm like, I'm just going to have a couple smokes so I can get paid on the clock without doing any actual work. Not you guys, not you do that. All right. So, but I'm looking at it, and I'm like, started smoking at work. Then as you get a little bit older, I have a fake ID, and I was like, I'm only going to smoke when I drink. Yeah, that's I'm just going to smoke when I drink. So Monday was penny pitcher night, and Tuesday was Taco Tuesday. Wednesday was Wing Wednesday, and here I am at different restaurants and bars every night of the week drinking. So now I'm smoking everything. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm only doing it when I'm at work, and I'm only doing it when I'm smoking or drinking. Right? So then I'm like driving, I get gas, and it's just becomes a habit. 28 days, right? It's going to do a good or bad habit. So here I am, smoking every day, going to get gas. My guy gave me pump 2 and a pack of Marlboro Lights. So I go in, and now I'm puffing, smoking, shifting, like it's a routine. Right? And I don't even do it because I just don't even know I'm doing it. I'm just going through the motion. So I had to break the cycle. I had to figure out a way to change the cycle. So I literally looked at the gas station. I'm like, there's nothing positive coming out of the gas station. If you really look at it psychologically, you walk in, it's virtual. Walk into your 7-Eleven, Wawa, whatever it is. Walk in, Wawa might be different because they got nothing. But let's go to 7-Eleven. You walk in, what do you see? You see tobacco, you see cigarettes, you see lottery, you see gambling, you see sugary drinks, low glycemic foods, you see overpriced merchandise, you see things of desperation, you need gas, you need a gas can, you have a flat tire, right? It's cheap electronics you would never buy, but because you're desperate, your phone's dead, right? So I looked at it, I'm like, I can't come in here anymore. And I started paying at the pump. And the way I stopped smoking some 25, 30 years ago was because I stopped putting myself in a situation. I waited long enough to where I broke the cycle, I got out of the habit, right? So that's what I did for myself. So I look at the world in these kind of ways. The casinos are the same thing. And my wife and I just took an amazing cruise to Jamaica. We went with our friends and family from the neighborhood. And here I am, I'm a compulsive gambler. I mean, we actually took a cruise. This is not a flattery story, my wife, but it's a real story. But I spent so much time at a casino in the Caribbean, probably about 2009, maybe 2010, that on another cruise a year later from New York up to Nova Scotia, the dealer remembered me from a cruise in the Bahamas a year earlier, right? So I was that guy. And I couldn't stop. I mean, it was just, if I didn't have something to do, I would just be in the casino, right? This last trip we went, I spent many nights in the casino. I watched a lot of roulette, and I watched a lot of cards. And I saw the flash in the pan of the excitement of, woo, I want a blackjack, right? But I didn't place one bet. I didn't have any urge. Now, the reason I didn't have any urge to is because through the process of learning to be efficient with my time, learning how to be efficient with my body, learning about sciences of metabolism and fitness and the neurological side of training in the vertical plane. So for those of you that know me personally, know that 2 years ago, my buddy invented this new modality called the GNAT. Now, the GNAT is vertical conditioning that trains you by taking away your balance and equilibrium to access your sympathetic nervous system. Now, your sympathetic nervous system is your fear mechanism. It is your brain when you go into a life or death scenario. So, let's picture a car wreck or